Alright, so in today's video, I want to share with you how to make huge profits buying oil stocks, but with a twist. Instead of shilling my energy stocks that are boring blue chip stocks I've owned since 2014, instead I want to share with you how politicians have recently bought energy stocks right before they banned the import on Russian oil. Now, this story was originally sent to me just recently by Unusual Whales. He does incredible research, so full credit to him. I will leave a link to his website in the description below the video. But this story is about how our politicians were able to buy those energy stocks right before they all unanimously got together and agreed to ban the import on Russian oil and gas. Now, for the longest time in this country, we have debated on whether we should allow our politicians to trade in the stock market. Some people believe that under no circumstances should we allow them to because they have private information. Other people say that as long as they publicly disclose their trades, then it should be allowed. The problem, though, is that the law that requires them to disclose those trades is almost never upheld, and the fees are almost non-existent. This is fascinating. Get ready to have your mind blown. Let's get right into it. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the expose. So once again, full credit to Unusual Whales for his awesome research. And I also want to say this video is not about politics. I'm not interested in Democrats versus Republicans. I only want to look at the information that politicians have used to make buku bucks with. So first, let's take a look at everyone's favorite, Nancy Pelosi. Now, you might not have known this about her, but before she was appointed as Speaker of the House, she was making $174,000 a year. But once she was appointed as Speaker of the House, her salary increased to $223,500. Now, that is a big salary, but that's nowhere near what she's actually worth, because her family's net worth is $114.7 million. Just to put that in perspective, if she was born at age 0, like we all are, and she was appointed as Speaker of the House from then on, and she was able to somehow magically save 100% of her $223,500 a year salary, it would take 513 years for her to get to that point. Now granted, I'm also taking her wealthy husband into account, but the point is that their family did not make their fortune by saving money, but by investing it and using information that the public did not have access to. And here's some examples. Let's take a closer look at Nancy Pelosi to see how well she's done with investing against the stock market, because last year, the S&P 500 returned an amazing 27%. It was the good old times, which we're not in right now. Just remember that the stock market historical performance has been on average about 10.5%, not factoring inflation. Nancy Pelosi beat the stock market because she did 45.5%, 4 times more than the historical average. But her options trading portfolio did even better. She returned 66.7% for a combined total between stocks and options at 56%, 5 times more than the yearly average, or twice as good as the amazing stock market we had last year. The question is, how though? When the Roni Rona happened and Congress was debating on what was going to be in the stimulus bill before anyone knew what was actually going on, she perfectly timed both Tesla and Disney, and she bought call options betting on those stocks to go up, which of course they did. Also, right before the American semiconductor funding bill was passed, she bought call options into Nvidia, betting on that stock to go up, which also, of course, it did. Also, they perfectly timed Netflix before Netflix announced that it was getting into the video game sector on June 14th, 2021, which of course the stock went up. Now last year, Congress sold roughly $290 million worth of stocks, and on average, they beat the stock market. So the question is, was any of this legal? Absolutely not, because in 2012, they all voted on a bill that would eventually pass as law known as the Stock Act, and it was meant to ban themselves from using the information they learned on the job for personal profit and benefit. And the law forced them to disclose every financial transaction no later than 45 days after it took place. But you know what the penalty is if they don't disclose it? $200. Ah, what the heck. I made a few mil off this trade. Buy yourself something nice. Just recently, Insider found that 57 members of Congress have failed to disclose their trades to the public. And when they were asked why they didn't, they were like, I had to tell people? I didn't know this. There's a law? And that's kind of part of the problem, because if you allow people to self-regulate, then they'll put up appearances that there are rules and laws against it. But because it's so common to break this rule because everyone does it, there's no consequence for it. That's why in 2022, just recently, they're back at it again, except this time with oil. So here's what happened to oil last week. The White House put out a statement saying that we have banned all imports of Russian oil, liquid natural gas, and coal. And this was done to cut off another source of Russia's revenue, because last year we imported 700,000 barrels per day of crude oil and petroleum products from Russia. Now, according to the US, this will cut off billions and billions of dollars worth of Russian revenue. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you ban something, especially if that something is something you need, the price of it goes up, which is why we're seeing oil go up higher than some people's credit scores recently. That's when you know it's getting serious. It's not my joke. It's a good one though. Steal like an artist. Now, oil just went over $120 a barrel. So if you're a politician who's sitting there and debating with everyone about how to punish Russia, then maybe you want to place a few bets about what's about to happen, because you know inside of your bill there's a provision that bans imports on Russian oil, because maybe some stocks here at home could go up in value, which is exactly what some politicians have done. Once again, I'm not trying to single anyone out. I'm not trying to take sides on any political party. This is just really interesting information. First, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the first stock she invested in is CVX, Chevron, an oil giant, which is up in the last 5 days close to 10%. She also bought Lockheed Martin, LMT, which is actually considered a war stock, which does really well during times of conflict because they make weapons and military aircraft. Now, in the last 5 days, it hasn't moved much, but since the start of the invasion just 1 month ago, this stock is up over 16%, which is huge. She also invested into Next Era Energy, and in the last 5 days, it's up only 3%, which is not as good, still incredible, but just not as good as some of the other ones. Also, one more detail. 1 day before Russia sent its army into Ukraine, she tweeted this. She said, "War and rumors of war is incredibly profitable and convenient." Now, I gotta say that standing up against war profiteering is just sometimes not profitable, but making money from people's lives, that's priceless. Visa, where's my sponsorship? There's also Robert Whitman, who bought XLE, the Energy Select Sector, which is an ETF, or a collection of energy stocks, because this guy knew that oil would do well, but he didn't know which stocks specifically, so he bought all of them, which is pretty smart, and in the last 5 days, he's up 4.1%. That's really good. But there's also Mark Green, who invested $1 million into ET, Energy Transfer. So far, he's up only 2%, which is only $20,000, but that's okay, because he invested over $1 million into Enlink Midstream on February 10th-ish, and so far he's up 10%, or over $100,000 in less than 30 days. Now, to be fair, not every politician ended up making money from this. For example, last month there was Virginia Fox. She bought 3 stocks, PAA, which is Plains American Pipeline, which she's up only 2% on. She bought PPL Corp, which she's down 5.5% on, and Phillips 66, which she's down over 10% on. So clearly, not every politician can use insider information to figure out which stocks will go up. That's why some pick winners, some pick losers, and some just buy the ETF. And that's what makes it so hard to figure out when insider trading actually happens. And that's why the ultimate question is, should we allow members of our Congress to participate in the stock market or not? 2 senators, Senator John Ossoff and Senator Mark Kelly, put together a proposal that would force members of Congress and their family members to sell all of their stocks or invest in what's called a blind trust. This is where you appoint a third party, a trustee, to invest your money for you without knowing how that money is being invested. But 63% of the people that were polled, both Democrats and Republicans, said that they were in support of this bill. 18% said they had no opinion, and the other 19% said they were either opposed or strongly opposed against the idea. Now, my favorite stock trading genius, Nancy Pelosi, was opposed against it, saying that we have a free market economy and people should be able to take advantage of that. But recently, she changed her mind, saying that if members of her caucus supported it, she would support it too. But she basically pointed the finger and said, but these guys, the executive branch of our government, they don't pay any taxes. And that's when I learned something I didn't know about before. Apparently, the president, the vice president, and members of the cabinet, of which there are 15 of, when they are appointed to their position, they're allowed to sell their conflicts of interest and pay no taxes at all. Imagine you owned a ton of McDonald's stock, but you were starting to work for Burger King soon. Well, in this case, it looks like a conflict of interest for you to own your competitor's stock. So you're given the option to divest or sell out of your McDonald's stock. Now, if you're a normal person, then you have to pay capital gains taxes on that sale, assuming you made money on it, right? But if you're a cabinet member, you are given the option to sell whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be some conflict of interest, just whatever you want. And as long as you take that money and reinvest it into certain money market funds or treasury bonds, which are considered some of the safest investments anyone could make, you could defer those taxes until you sell those assets. But the catch is that the richest 1% don't really ever sell their assets. They borrow against their assets at a low interest rate, which means they can technically defer their taxes forever. I want to be a cabinet member, but also when it comes to insider trading, there's two points of views. Some people are in support of insider trading and some people are not, and here's exactly why. The argument for allowing insider trading to exist is because of the efficient market hypothesis, and it says that stocks at any given time will always be accurately priced because at any given time, both public and private information is reflected in the price. And the reason this is good, they say, is because it allows us to invest in the broad market, which allows us to go along with the efficiency of the market rather than trying to compete by figuring out some piece of information which will not give us any advantage because chances are someone already knew it and took advantage of it. That's why the price is accurate and efficient. I hope that makes sense. Another argument for allowing insider trading to exist is because it's very difficult to prove and it doesn't make sense to spend valuable government resources. It's way better to spend over $465,000 teaching pigeons how to gamble with slot machines. That was a real thing we spent money on. And it's pretty obvious why that's more important. At least the slot machine gambling pigeons make us laugh. The other thing just makes us more depressed. It's the same reason why I never visit the doctor. I just don't want to know. Now, the biggest argument against allowing insider trading is that if we feel like there's people making money at the expense of our money, then it doesn't create a fair capital market and it undermines investor confidence. Why would we want to invest our money in a place where the select few with information get to make most of it? It doesn't. Either way, my opinion is that there's 3 guaranteed ways to make money in the stock market, and here's what they are. Buy and hold long term. That's what I did with my oil stocks in 2014. I bought a bunch of them and they crashed hard and I lost a ton of money on paper, but I held on and I continued buying more. And it took 7 years, going on 8, for them to finally break even, and now I'm finally starting to make money, but once again, on paper. So the guaranteed way to make money is to just buy and hold long term and continue buying. The second guaranteed way is, of course, to just be a politician with information on what's about to happen. And the third way is to have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Go grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin with this BlockFi link right here. Go get your free stocks, links down below, and then go track them automatically with a spreadsheet link down below in my Patreon. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes a Wednesday. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.